Are we live, Nicholas? Are we live?
We
Testy, testy. 1, 2, 1, 2.
sure are.
We sure are, Nicholas. I got a 3D printer, as I've told you, and I got to tell you, I am having way more fun with this thing than I ever would have imagined. I don't have it down here with me. I fucked that up, but I made you a nice Red Hood, logo. Printed it out. It looks sharp. Red Hood's going to feature prominently, with us in the hours and the days and the time to come. But I'll have to get that to you somehow. I'm going to be printing so much nerd shit with this thing. I printed a. This is terrible for podcasting. People can't see. Even for the people watching, they can't see. Well, I'll take it here. Look at this, Nicholas. I made a little. It's green. You're not gonna fucking see it. I'm a fucking
green.
As I grabbed it, put it, I go, I'm fucking. It's a monitor stand for Funko Pops.
Nice.
So I got Spider-Man 29. Yeah, but it's green. I use green fucking filament. So no one can see it but me. I know it exists, and it is wonderful, Nicholas. Just like this program, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of all ages, TLDR Studios proudly presents to you the greatest, and I mean the greatest, podcasting team in the world. He is your friendly neighborhood comic book writer, Nick Friar. I am Tenacious Doc, and together we are the TLDR Comic Book Club, baby. How's it going, Nicholas?
It's going great, but I want to say to you about the 3D printer, don't let people take advantage of you too much, because I know there are other members of the DSG who are excited about it. I'm not saying I'm not excited about it, but they're going to be requesting a ton of stuff on you, and I got to imagine whatever it is you said that you use to like print out these 3D printings isn't free.
Well, I told Goo he only gets one marital aid, so choose wisely. Choose wisely.
My goodness, he was on when I was on with him recently on his show, the Mac and Goo program, which you guys can, I guess you can listen to it. He said like, no, I got to be nice to you guys now because Doc has a 3D printer.
Yeah. I tell you what, it's a lot of fun. I've been printing a lot of stuff out for I've been printing out a lot of mods for it. So nice. I'm nerding out with this thing. It's a lot of fun. But I am going to be printing out a lot of nerd shit, Thundercats logos, maybe Thundercats swords, who knows, right?
Yeah, if you got it, why not? Speaking of nerd shit and nerding out, we most recently, we've been telling you guys we had something in the works. We alluded to it. We didn't say anything until we had it officially in the hopper, but we know a bunch of you have already listened to it. But for those who have not, we had Scott Snyder back on the program to talk about Absolute Batman again. Yes, the 6th time that he has been on the program. And we had mentioned to him, last time we had him on, the previous time we had him on to first talk about Absolute Batman. That had been a while. By the end of it, he's like, let's talk about Absolute Batman. I'll come on beforehand and whatnot. And then we ended up bringing things together. And I got to say, Joe, that was, we've talked to him 6 times. You would think, each time would be better, and whatnot, ask better questions, improve as interviewers, blah, blah, blah. Always trying to get better on this program. I definitively, that was my favorite chat that we've had with him, because we were able to dig in so much into his process, his view of the characters, his understanding of story, all this stuff. I felt like honestly, I'm in Scott's writing class, and we get great insight from him there, great insight from his guests that he has join the class, as well as guest speakers. I felt like this was like a mini class in a way, where with some of the insights that we got, and also from a reading standpoint, like as just a pure reader, we got great insights as well from one of the best writers in comics.
It was nice of you to be professional for once. That was for sure. But no, I mean, it's
so
funny.
Says the fisherman.
I was good. I don't think I asked for anything. It might be the first time in 5 years I've never asked for anything.
It might be.
It's funny. We've been doing this, and as I said, for 5 years now. I still get nervous every time I talk to Scott, right? And I mean, I know what it is. He's he's the goat of goats, but like, I mean, I get nervous when we talk to everyone, but there's just something like I still feel like this isn't real, right?
Mm,
Like here we are, we're talking to Scott Snyder, and it's the sixth time for Pete's sake, right? And as you're right, they're better and better and better, and he just there's a comfort level now, which is great. And it was one of our best chats, not just with him, but I just think in general,
mm.
it was off the charts, baby.
Yeah, it was a great time. I can't wait to go back and listen to that one. I have not done it yet, but I will be. But we got more to get to beyond that this week. But make sure if you are just watching us on YouTube, watching us on Instagram Live, and wondering why haven't I seen this video in any capacity? That's because we don't do videos when it comes to Fireside Chats. Those are audio only, and of course, those are conversations with creators across the comic book industry. So make sure you go subscribe to one of our audio channels to ensure you get those delivered right to your listening device. You can find them, but you're going to have to make sure you're following us on social or, keeping tabs, in some other way, shape, or form. If you just subscribe to the show, you get all the episodes delivered right to your listening device. And while you're there, make sure you leave a 5-star rating and review. Otherwise, you're going to learn the real meaning of Tenacious Stock. And tell a fellow comic book reader, too. We're trying to do everything that every comic book reader would want. Now, before we get into this first look, I think you, Joe, had a little bit of housekeeping to get to before we talk about this early look that we have.
You almost forgot. Nice save, Nicholas. Nice save. As you should not just listen to us, and even though our Fireside Chats aren't on YouTube, please go to YouTube, follow us, subscribe, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Watch our reels and shorts and videos 1,000 times a day, if you can. That would be greatly appreciated. But if you could follow us and subscribe to us on YouTube, that helps us grow immensely, and that allows us to get to more people who could see our beautiful faces, aside from just hearing our silky smooth voices. How was that, Nicholas?
That was great.
Yeah.
The I'm still recovering from your ultimate smoothness. All right, so we got an early look to get to, and there's one more tiny thing. I think you had a shout out that you wanted to give real quick before we get to this
Oh,
early look, if I'm not mistaken.
yes, Nicholas, you are the man. Saving my bacon. I've
Mm,
saved
oh,
your bacon so many times. I
mm,
appreciate you,
mm.
finally reciprocating.
So many times you
Uh,
can't even count. You can't even name one.
you know what, Nicholas? It's just why dwell on it? Why
Exactly.
dwell?
Exactly. Why let facts get in the way of a good story?
Bingo, baby! Yeah, he's learning. He's getting there. He's getting there, folks. He's only been in the business for a decade. It's okay. He's getting there. Baby steps. Baby steps. No, I was very stunned. I received a parcel, an unexpected parcel, in the mail this week from our good friends over at Mad Cave Studios, who sent me a copy of Endless Nights. They sent us, the package for the unboxing, which was a smash hit, and so many great goodies in there, but the series, Revolution 9, Exit City, Hour of the Wolf, I've talked about them all. They're excellent, and this crossover event and this light is fantastic. So thank you for sending me over that copy. It was very unexpected and very appreciated.
All right, now it's time for us to get into some reviews, but we're not starting things off with what's new this week. We actually have an early look this week. Speaking of Mad Cave Studios, we got Wild Animals, issue 1. This is written by Ed Brisson, who you guys have heard us talk about many a time on the show. For both Joe and I, our favorite series from Ed is The Displaced, which he wrote over for Boom Studios. The artist on this series is Andy Kuhn, colors by Dee Cunniffe, and letters by Rob Jones. The FOC for the first issue of Wild Animals is June 16th. It hits shelves on July 9th, but don't play, why would you go and play like Russian roulette with this? Why would you go and, gamble that, maybe, I forget to go, or I don't go to the local comic shop after 4th of July because, you're still, feeling all those hot dogs after a crazy weekend. Put it on your pull list, right before the FOC again, June 16th, to make sure it's in your pull box whenever you go to your local comic shop after July 9th. The synopsis, you want to, no, I'll hit him with the synopsis. I was going to put that on you, Joe. I don't want to do that to you. Neil's life has been falling apart ever
Better not
since
fuck up.
his father was killed by crooked cops. 15 years later, Neil's mother lays on her deathbed and he's stuck in a dead-end job, has nowhere to live, and has no hope to speak of. Life keeps kicking Neil and keeps taking it Oh, dang it, I screwed up. Wait a second, I missed a word there. Life keeps kicking Neil, and he keeps taking it. Too frightened to fight back until now. With his world crumbling around him, Neil finds himself backed into a corner with no choice but to make a stand and right the wrongs that have haunted him for years. I'm done talking. I have thoughts on this, Joe, but what did you think of Wild Animals issue 1?
I think I got to save the program because you just torpedoed it. This was excellent. They sent this to us, and as soon as I read it, Nicholas, I texted you and I said, "Read it now, read it now." This first issue is excellent. I've seen a lot of love for it over on X and Blue Sky, and rightfully so. We love Ed's work because he really does get raw and gritty with his storytelling. And this book, like, you really do feel for Neil. This is a guy just constantly getting kicked while he is down, figuratively and literally. And we all have our breaking points, and Neil reaches his, but not before the way this issue ends, right? Like, holy smokes! Like, we talk about this constantly, Nicholas, right? The sign of a great first issue is it pulls you in, and then it gets its hooks into you and makes you want that second issue ASAP. This is where I live up to my fisherman moniker. Our friends over at Mad Cave, if you have the second issue, please send it to Doc, baby. This issue is excellent. This is like, rush out now. Call, get you a little comic book shop, get on your pull list. You don't want to miss this series because it'll take you for a ride, baby.
Yeah, I felt for this main character Neil so quickly,
Mm.
and as the story progresses, like you're explaining, like the investment that you have in this character only develops further. I honestly can't remember pulling for a main character so hard, so quickly as I have with Wild Animals. Like such a sad, tragic character, and you just want the best for him. And I'm really hoping that we're going to get that. But again, what's the best for him? Like, how is that going to take shape? There are a few ways in which it could, a few different directions that Ed and his team can go with. But yeah, some awesome stuff from Ed and Andy Kuhn and the rest of Mad Cave Studios team that put together Wild Animals issue 1. Again, the FOC for that is June 16th. So that's coming right up if you're listening to this as this episode drops. So make sure you let your local comic shop know you want that added to your pull list. Nothing for us in the way of catching up this week, but we do got plenty to get to for what's new. Joe, why don't you start us off with Marvel, please?
All right. I remember this from the solicit. This is the week of 1,000 number ones. From Marvel Comics, we have Ultimate X-Men issue 16, Ultimate Black Panther issue 17, One World Under Doom issue 5, Exceptional X-Men issue 10, Magic issue 6, Phoenix issue 12, Deadpool Wolverine issue 6, Eddie Brock Carnage issue 5, Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe One Last Time issue 3. Excellent issue, by the way. Star Wars issue 2, New Champions issue 6, The Rise of Skywalker adaptation issue 5, and let me see if I can get through these number ones in one single breath before we dive deeper into two of them.
One breath.
Nicholas. All right. Giant Sized Amazing Spider-Man issue 1, Giant Sized Dark Phoenix Saga issue 1, Spider-Girl issue 1, Marvel United, A Pride Special issue 1, and Avengers Academy issue 1. Baby!
Well done.
Let's go.
But you also missed Runaways issue 1 and Marvel Rivals Ignite issue 1 that you just
Well, I
didn't.
did? Where did I miss that? See, that's not my fault because they're all bulleted except for those two. I combined them, whatever, for some dumb reason. So my fault, technically, but also not my fault because not my fault at the same time.
It's no, you know what it is, Joe? It's my fault.
It's 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other, right? Something about a bird in hand and 2 in the bush. I don't know.
No, wait, it's got to be your bowl. All right. All right. With that, we each have a number one that we checked out separately this week. Why don't you lead us off?
I was pointing to you for you to go first. See that?
Oh, I thought you point so much. I have no deciphering your points.
I tried to angle it.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I thought you were like being like, oh, he's doing. You're getting us back on track and this whatever. All right, fine. The New Avengers issue 1. This is written by Sam Humphries with art by. Do you think it's Tone Lemur? Not Ton Lima, Ton Lima, maybe Ton Lima. That's probably right.
I mean, it looks like Tom, Tom.
Ton.
I
Did
mean, I
I
wrote
cop?
down.
Well, you know what? Why don't you check that for me while I'm going through this? Because I must have jotted it down or read it incorrectly. But anyways, New Avengers issue 1. I look at the cover. I see Bucky Barnes. I see Black Widow. I see a bunch of other characters that I'm interested in. So of course I'm going to check this out. And you've got Winter Soldier and Black Widow are putting a team together. And if you check out that main cover, you get an idea of who's going to be in the mix. The Bucky that we get in this first issue of New Avengers is a much more energized Bucky than what we got in the MCU. Now, I loved him in Thunderbolts. It felt like the character got a little bit new life, but we've seen a lot of sad boy Bucky Barnes over the years, and it hasn't always hit me right in the way that it's. I don't mind a sad boy, but the way that it's gone about it over the years, it hasn't hit me in the way that I think it was intended to. But he right now not dealing too well with Doctor Doom's rule because we've got the whole world under Doom and everything like that. So he's kind of acting out, and we're now seeing him take center stage alongside some of these other cool characters that he's bringing together in New Avengers. This has the feel of like a smash 'em up series with a very exciting team. So I really enjoyed New Avengers issue 1. I'll be back for issue 2.
Tone, I would go with there, right? I
So I
wouldn't
was
call him.
correct.
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't.
Okay.
I wouldn't say ton. I would say
Mm,
tone. Yeah.
yeah.
So
Okay.
we apologize.
Mm,
We joke, but we really don't like messing up people's names.
no.
So the number one that I would like to discuss is Death of Silver Surfer, issue 1. This is written by Greg Pak with art by Sumit Kumar, and I'm not a huge Silver Surfer fan. I'd say I like the look of Silver Surfer more than I generally like the stories. But I'll tell you what, it was Silver Surfer Black a number of years ago, written by um, oh
Johnny Cakes.
Jesus, Donny Cates. Thank you, Nicholas.
You're welcome.
That's
It's my
two
fault
you
you
standing
forgot,
on it.
though. Yeah, it's my fault.
Well, yeah, yeah, you're not wrong. Um, and which I love, but that was a trippy ass series, and I think in general, Norrin Rad and Silver Surfer. It's a little out there, even for me, generally speaking. But I will tell you this: Death of the Silver Surfer issue 1 was excellent, and it wasn't just strictly like this sort of weirdo, cosmic, ultra sort of trippy sort of story. It was very much grounded, where it revolves around sort of this ultra soldier Kelly, who wears this sort of like, I wouldn't call it an Iron Man suit, but it's a mechanical suit, and she's a badass, right? She's a character that you quickly fall in love with. She's just badass. She's there to get the job done, kicking ass and chewing bubble gum, in the great words of Roddy Piper. And then something happens to her, a little bit of arrogance, and she finds out what Silver Surfer is all about real fast. But there's a great sort of human element to it. There's a great sort of emotional range in it from Norrin Rad, which he's typically a very, very cold character. But it seems like regret is starting to set in a little bit, and so like I was really impressed with Greg's sort of take, on the character, and then the way it ends. There's this image from Sumit Kumar on the last panel that is just awesome, absolutely awesome. So
Nice.
with the Fantastic Four, on the horizon, Marvel's been giving us a lot of Fantastic Four, Galactus stuff, and we know that Silver Surfer is going to be in that movie. So I think this will be a great little series leading up to that. And like I said, this is if you're a fan of Silver Surfer, even if you're not a huge fan of Silver Surfer, this is definitely a title worth checking out.
Is this Silver Surfer portrayed by Pedro Pascal? I couldn't help myself.
You know what they got to do? You know what Marvel and Disney just said? Just I know you hate this, Nicholas. Just fucking AI him into everything. Why not?
Oh,
Right? He literally can't be in 1,000 places at once, but you can AI his face onto everything. So I mean,
you know
that
what? That
they're
you
not
hear
that
that?
far off.
Wait, you hear that sound? That's the sound of all our listeners turning off the show. All right. Moving on. So some good stuff from Marvel this week, but look, comics, they're stories. It's art. It's not a competition. But we always kind of compare Marvel and DC. And while Marvel's got some good stuff going right now, especially with that Ultimate Universe, DC's kicking ass with their Absolute Universe. And as much as we talked a ton about Absolute Batman with Scott, I do want to say that Bane is here and he is as dangerous as you'll ever see him, an elite combination of brawn and intellect.
So this issue absolutely rips. Generally, for the floppies, when it comes to MVP, we don't really sort of take factor in Marvel and DC because they're the big two. We like to focus on more of the indies, right? I gotta tell you, what DC's done with the Absolute series, I'm thinking about it.
I think we talked about the idea of doing like a MVP for smaller publishers and then an MVP for like the big three, like Image being thrown in the mix there. I really think we should do that going forward because they're just judged on different scales.
They are judged on different scales, right? And because I feel like, oh, you could always either just give it to Marvel, DC, or Image. That's why I always focus on. Now, I'm not saying I am giving it, and I don't. We're starting to dip into too many awards sort of
We are.
territory,
Hmm.
right? But I just wanted to throw that out there. Like that's how good this Absolute series has been.
Hmm.
All the titles. All right, I know I didn't mention it for catching up, but I did read Absolute Green Lantern from last week, which was excellent.
Nice.
Um, you know, I just want it known that like because it's easy to shit on the big two as well. So
Yeah, very so.
I really want to give them their praise for this because like it's always like DC is like Marvel's a top dog and outside of Batman, DC generally is second fiddle. And maybe that's just like because of like the cinematic universe, we feel that way, right? But I feel like Marvel was first with the Ultimate Universe and has been crushing it, but like and like whenever there's big events, it's usually Marvel does something and then DC does something, and sometimes oftentimes DC's events will fall a little, not all the time, but I'm speaking in generalities, right? Like this Absolute right goes pun intended, absolutely goes toe to toe with the Ultimate Series
Hmm.
in Marvel. It is that damn good. And while on a whole, I don't read a ton of DC titles. I mean, I read a good amount. But I'm always inclined to go, indies, I should say. This has been like, and if there's an absolute title out that week, it's going to the top of my pile.
Yeah, this has been as much as again the ultimate stuff that we've been reading has been really good. The absolute stuff is I'm reading all of it.
Mm.
It's funny because I grew up more so Marvel, but I'm definitely more I've DC has been like Red Hood was huge for me, like what like the New 52 Red Hood and since and everything since then, and then Deathstroke, under Christopher Priest, like all of that. So like DC has actually, from a comic standpoint, has an edge for me versus Marvel. I think that you generally get better writers and artists over at DC, at least in the past 10, 15 years or so. So I do tend to lean that way more. But at the same time, you and I aren't just we don't just read Marvel and DC for the sake of it. We check stuff out because of the show, and we have access that other people don't have, and we want to make sure that people know about new things that are coming out. But at the same time, like if we don't stay on top of a thing, it's because we don't necessarily like it, and that's why we don't talk about it. But we both just generally enjoy Image and the other indies more because there's more freedom, creative freedom there. I feel like you just Marvel and DC get more hamstrung, but that's why we're both like that's why us and everybody else is liking the Ultimate Universe and the Absolute Universe more because they're getting treated like these characters kind of like indie comics characters, and it's allowing them to go run wild. So yeah, I just hope I don't think that will ever translate in full to the main line, but I just hope that like Elseworld stuff like this, never fully ever goes away. Because it's outstanding. All right, that is actually the only absolute title from DC out this week, and that's actually not the DC book that you and I wanted to break down. Uh,
No.
Action Comics 1087, Batman and Robin issue 22, Batman Dark Patterns issue 7, Aquaman issue 6, Green Lantern Corps issue 5, Supergirl issue 2, DC versus Vampires World War V issue 10, Batman 89 Echoes, Fire and Ice When Hell Freezes Over issue 3, Mad issue 44, Trinity Daughter of Wonder Woman issue 1, that's by Tom King and Belen Ortega. And then we have another Jeff Lemire joint, Robin and Batman. You had read the Dick Grayson run and talked about it in detail. Now we have the Jason Todd run with Dustin Nguyen. Is that how you say it?
Dustin Win.
Win. I'm gonna get it. I'm sorry, Dustin. Win. At least one of us is getting it right. So what did you think of the first issue of Robin and Batman, Jason Todd?
A few things, Nicholas. One was it was everything I expected, right? I mean, it's I love this team of Lemire and Win, right? Lemire is just like I love his work with when it's Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino, and they've got their horror vibe down, and there's something about Lemire and Win that is just it's a great combination because Win's art is Lemire adjacent, right? Where it's Lemire's a little bit more sketchy, but what Win does is it's watercolors, right? And Lemire does a lot of
Mhm.
watercolors too. And I thought this was Dustin Win's best work I have ever seen. And the thing I loved about it, and I'll get into the story in a second, but I was just so taken aback by the art was like the line work was beautiful. The watercolor itself was beautiful, but what we got here, and I don't think I noticed this the first time, and maybe it wasn't really utilized as much the first time, but you got the texture of the watercolor paper, right?
Mm.
As part of the page, like so that just that extra layer of texture, just I don't know, made the art pop. It gave it a real fine arts feel to what was an absolutely incredible story. I remember when we talked about this during the solicit, I sort of said, well, I hope we start, knowing Lemire and his work for characters, I hope we start I hope we get, sort of Lemire's origin story of the Red Hood. And it's like, well, we all know what the origin story of the Red Hood and how is that going to be? Because,
Mhm.
if this is anything like the last one, it's going to focus on Robin in the very early stages. And what Lemire gave us here a a deeply troubled and flawed character in Jason Todd, which we know him to be, but there was something about the way Lemire wrote him and approached him that made him even more unsettling. So much the fact that even Alfred was like, "Ooh," and I love that. I
Yeah.
love the use of Alfred in this
Yes.
issue. Like this was just so well constructed, and you get those layers, those deeper layers of who Jason Todd is. You start to see a little bit of the duality that is Jason Todd, and just the way that Bruce and even Alfred like are having a hard time trying to connect and reach this kid, and they're questioning if they're even going to be able to. So um this to me was hands down, and something is killing the children came out this week. This
Mm.
was my favorite issue that I read this week.
Mm. It was outstanding. Favorite issue. Ooh, that hmm. It might be for me too. I hadn't thought about that. I don't know that necessarily. Hmm. I don't want to think on that too much necessarily because nothing's just like jumping out at me right now. But it was outstanding, and the ending I really enjoyed
Yeah.
as well too because I just again can't wait for the next issue. But it's funny because some respect has been put on Jason Todd's name in recent years, but this was a swift reminder of why readers offed him years ago when they were given the chance. Oh my God. An impulsive sidekick is a recipe for disaster. Quick reminder of that. But yeah, it was an outstanding first issue. We get a taste of a new villain who has a familiar look. I'm sure that individual is going to generate some buzz as well over time. But really, really strong first issue for Jeff Lemire, not for Jason Todd, for a lot of reasons that we've highlighted. But this is we're seeing some of why he went down the path that he went post Robin. But yeah, so some awesome stuff from DC this week. But let's start moving into those indies, Joe.
Yes. Okay. So I'm gonna do these next two because light week
Cool.
from Boom, right? And I know people want to hear my silky, sultry voice. So from Boom Studios, we have Something is Killing the Children, issue 42. And I must say again, that was another absolutely brilliant issue. A lot is happening without a lot happening, if that makes sense.
Mhm,
And it's
mhm.
really setting the stage for what's going to be, I think, an epic conclusion to this jump start back into the new arc and beyond. And then Hello Darkness, issue 11, from Dark Horse. We have
My old
Star
friend.
Wars. Here we go. Thank you, Nicholas.
Mhm.
From Dark Horse, we have Star Wars Hyperspace Stories, The Bad Batch, Ghost Agents, issue 4. What are we doing? Stranger Things and Dungeons and Dragons, The Rise of Hellfire, issue 4. Frankenstein, New World, The Sea of Forever, issue 4. It's like the week of absurdly long titles.
You're not done
Sister,
either.
sister, and I'm gonna botch this, and I always do it. Sister, Imperator, issue 4. The right
Yep,
Im-
Imperator.
Imperator. Thank you. See, you
It's
know,
okay.
it's it's a subtle reminder, Nicholas, that nobody's perfect.
Yeah,
Right.
we thank you. I appreciate that. It's very big of you.
I come close, but it's sometimes just a slight imperfections show.
Mhm.
The Umbrella Academy, Plan B, issue 1, and then a book you would like to discuss, Nicholas.
Yeah, Vox Machina fans rejoice. I loved that show. I was not like privy to watching the Critical Role and like the actual campaigns that they do. I know that stuff's all available and whatnot, but that's not necessarily my speed. I loved the animated series on Amazon Prime, which a listener put us onto that show. And Joe,
Mm,
I don't think you've watched it yet, but
no, not yet.
you gotta get
I
on
know,
it.
I know, I know, I know.
When you watch it, you're gonna be like, what have I been doing? What have I been waiting for? I think I know who your favorite character is going to end up being too. So we need to have that conversation whenever you check it out. And they're only like 20-minute episodes, something like that. I don't think they're 30 minutes even. So easy to.
I'm
to
I'm I'm on a serious Phineas and Ferb run right now, buddy.
oh, okay. Yeah, I understand priorities. But if you love the series, check this out. Critical Role Vox Machina Origins 1, Issue 1. We've seen other Origin volumes from Mad Cave. And I'll tell you right now, I haven't read any of them yet. I've been trying to figure out when do I want to jump in on Vox Machina comics. And I saw, this. I was like, Volume 1. Like, I know I've seen others, but like, you know what? I'll check it out. If they're labeling it this way, it's got to mean there's a level of accessibility that there wasn't necessarily there before. So if you haven't, like, the big thing for me going into this, because I did read that Umbrella Academy Plan B, only having watched that show, not having read the Umbrella Academy comics, which is a sin, and I should go back and read it. And I was like, okay, like I get what's going on, but I feel like there's something, like there's differences from the show, of course. There may be something I'm missing here and there, but with this, not the case at all. You can jump right in, not having read any Vox Machina comics, not having watched the campaign, really just having watched or read one of the things that they've produced and be able to enjoy this. This focuses on Vax and Vex, the twins, as they take on a job for a small town. And then from there, mystery and chaos ensues. Very much love this, like an easy, quick story. Like it's just, and there's more layers to it that I'm not going to get into right now, as you would imagine. Moving on, we got Mad Cave Studios. We got Blue Palo Verde, issue 1 by Ray Fox Erminati. Did you check this out?
I did. It's gonna be my gem of the week. Small tease
Nice.
for those watching and listening.
Nice, nice, very nice. And then we got Far Down Below from Chris Condon and Gigi Shaw, who we had Chris on the show a little while back to discuss this. And the one thing I wanted to say, Joe, before you dig into it even more, there's a moment where two characters are tested in this issue, and the way that those individuals responded to that test is 100% what stuck with me from this issue.
Yeah, this was my favorite issue of the series yet. The thing I love most about it, right, is that we're getting a horror story here, right? But it isn't like the typical horror stories that we read here. It's I've said this time and time again, it's got that 80s Amblin vibe to it, right? Like that Goonies vibe to it, where there's that suspense. There's some things that, like, there might be some jump scares, but nothing like horrific in that sense. And I'm absolutely eating it up. I love you know the two main characters there. But I love what we also get here too, like, with the grandfather, we get, the discovery that happens. I love this is subtle, but I love the panels that we got with the family
Mm,
at the police station because
mm.
again, that feels like an ET moment. That feels like, like what's going on? And it's like, like this sort of like reckless abandon that was parenting in the 80s. And like you weren't a kid in the 80s. I
No.
was for a brief period of time. I mean, it really was like chaos. It was just like, like now I don't let Violet go down the street without like making sure she's checked in with me and lets me know which back then it was just like I could have been 3 towns away on my friggin' bike. As long as I was home for dinner time, like no one could give a shit. You know what I mean? Like and that's the joy that I get from reading this. All the while, I am getting a fairly intense story, right?
Mhm.
Especially with like those last few pages when the parents pull up, to the grandfather's house, and they put two and two together, right? So great suspense, but there's a little bit of levity, characters that you absolutely love, and extraordinarily engaging. So this was my favorite issue yet.
Yeah, it was a great one, and this is the penultimate issue for the
Mm,
series as well. So we got the big finale coming. I'm very curious about how that's going to go because there's a few significant loose ends that got to be tied
mm,
up that I anticipate will be. All right, we got a few companies that are a few publishers that we want to just touch on that we're not breaking down at all. From Oni, we got Dark Regards issue 2 and Blood Type issue 1. From AWA, we got the Purpose Project issue 1. From IDW, we got TMNT Mutant Nation issue 7. Star Trek Lower Decks issue 8, and TMNT issue 9. From Titan, we got Conan the Barbarian issue 21, The Loose End issue 4, and then from Dynamite, we got Red Sonja versus the Army of Darkness issue 3, Zootopia issue 4, and Gargoyles Demona issue 1, which brings us to Joe, Image and Skybound. What do you got?
Image and Skybound, we have Transformers issue 21, Spawn issue 365, Geiger issue 15. Did you read Roll Tree, Nicholas,
I
this
did.
week?
Yeah. Yeah,
Ooh,
I did.
man.
Yeah,
I,
it's
I love this arc. And again, not a lot is going on, right? And this was maybe the least violent of
yes.
any issue of World Tree,
Yes.
but it was so engaging. I'm loving the origin story of Sammy, and we get more
Yeah,
of that here. It
I
was
I
just excellent.
oof, I'm so glad we've gotten it, and I mean, like, it feel like I know there's only so much left in the arc, and this has all been devoted to that, but it feels like we're also due for a lot more possibly. So I'm
Mhm.
very excited with the direction that this issue took the arc in.
Yeah, 100%. We have King Spawn issue 46, I Hate Fairyland issue 41, Blood and Thunder issue 2, Lost Fantasy issue 2, Savage Dragon issue 277, Free Planet issue 2, Drawing Blood issue 9, Sweet Paprika Open for Business issue 5, Golden Rage, Mother Knows Best, issue 3. Genna, Naked Aggression, issue 1. And then finally, Nicholas, a book that you want to discuss more, a book that we both love. What is it?
Falling in Love on the Path to Hell. Issue 8, Jerry Duggan, Gary Brown. It's been a bit since we got
Mm,
an issue from this series, but what a great return it was. Very unsettling start to the issue. But in the course of that, we learn more about one of the key players from this series who we've gotten to know, but could stand to learn quite a bit more about. Explains some things about how this character and why he is the way he is in this world. Best action of the series yet, but like without question. And we've talked about how much of a badass Asami is, but my goodness, like McWraith is a cool character, but like Asami is the one who, like, if I was to get an action figure, that's the character who I want an action figure for. Like she just goes off in this issue, and then on top of all that, we get a pretty significant twist in this issue that I would imagine is going to play huge in issue 9 and even maybe even further beyond that.
yeah, yeah, that was excellent. There was that slow suspense building. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, ooh, because you get it right off the rip, and then the story goes, and then you get so into the story you kind of forget about it, and then bang,
Mm.
holy smokes, just pure perfection.
Yeah, it really was. Last thing I want to note before we get going, with I Hate Fairyland, it's listed as issue 41, which is correct, but that is legacy issue 41 because the last issue of I
Mm.
Hate Fairyland was actually issue 20, but it's like the second volume. I don't know what Scotty Young was doing with all that, but he's like, this is legacy issue 41. It is the next issue from 20. So this is like technically 21 in the second volume. So a little confusing. I think it lays it out on the cover as well, but I just wanted to make sure the people listening who haven't got their hands on it know what's going on there. All
Yeah,
right.
'cause that confused the hell out of me. I was like, "There really been 41 issues? Oh, oh, okay, okay."
Yes, legacy, but not in this recent arc, so or recent run, I should say. But yeah, it threw me for a loop. Like, but I've read all of it, so it's kind of like, oh, okay, whatever. But anyways, moving on. That is it for us this week. Just what's new. Obviously, if you haven't listened to the Fireside Chat with Scott Snyder already, make sure you go listen to that. Subscribe to our audio channels, and if you haven't subscribed to one of our video channels, specifically YouTube, make sure you go and do that as well. You can also watch us on Instagram Live. Looking like a mainline episode for us for next week, Joe. So we got some stuff to pick between. So very excited
Keep
to see.
reading, baby. Oh, wait a joke. You know,